I'm Mike with List 25, and there's no way to know for sure, but you can always say a prayer and listen to these 25 horrible demonic possessions that could be true. #25. Anna Eklund. In 1912, this 14-year-old girl from Iowa was a devout Catholic, but her father and aunt, who practiced witchcraft, would curse her and taint her food. After a while, she couldn't enter a church or look at religious artifacts, and became sexually depraved. Some witnesses testified that she spoke in languages she'd never known before. Eventually, priests came to exorcise the demons, and after 23 days, they declared her free of demonic possession. #24. Theammons Family. Gary Police Captain Charles Austin said he thought the story involving a mother and 3 children being possessed was a hoax until he visited the house several times. Since then, he said he's a believer. From a swarm of flies in winter to a little boy walking backward up a wall, many strange and eerie things happened in the Ammons home. #23. Michael Taylor. In 1974, this man worked as a butcher and was considered an affable man, but not particularly religious. However, he began attending Christian fellowship group and became enamored with the lay leader, Marie Robinson. Eventually, he had an episode of becoming bestial and verbally assaulted Robinson to the point where he had to be restrained. He had no memory of the incident, but his personality slowly deteriorated to the point where priests came to perform an exorcism. They said they exorcised 40 demons, but murder was still inside him. Soon after, he brutally murdered his wife in a grisly and violent manner, and afterward proceeded to kill his dog. #22. Elizabeth Knapp. 20 years before the Salem witch trials, this 16-year-old girl was a servant in the house of Samuel Willard, a prominent Puritan preacher. When she started having violent fits, Willard consulted a local doctor, but the doctor didn't know what was causing it. Little is recorded of what happened to her later. #21. George Lutkins. This man's possession started in 1788 when he would violently slap himself in the face and have wild fits. Priests exorcised his demons, and it was reported afterward he was calm and happy, as if back to normal. #20. Antoine Gay. In the late 19th century, this man became a lay brother at a monastery, but eventually was considered demonically possessed. Some of the symptoms included having knowledge of things he would have no way of knowing and speaking in Latin, though he had no official training in it. 19. Julia. Dr. Richard E. Gallagher never considered demon possession to be real, until he saw it up close and personal with a woman called Julia. Julia would know things about Gallagher that only he knew, and even had books flying off the shelves around her at one point. Julia tried to be exorcised, but eventually gave up and was later diagnosed with cancer. 18. Carolyn Perrone and her family. This mother and family moved into their new 14-room home in 1971, not expecting what would befall them soon after. Things started small, like a broom missing, until the children started seeing spirits, some friendly and others not. They found a Satanist had once lived in the house, and they tried to have the demons removed through exorcism. 17. Robert the Doll. As a young boy, Gene Otto loved this doll, but when it mutilated toys and weird things happened, he would say, "Robert did it." Accounts of the doll giggling menacingly and going from room to room spread through the neighborhood, and eventually the doll was put in the attic. When Gene inherited the house, he brought Robert down and painted with him. It's said the doll drove his wife insane. The doll is now on display at the Fort East Martello Museum. 16. The Debuque Box. This old Jewish wine box was owned by a Holocaust survivor and brought to the US. The owner told her daughter to never open it because it contained a demon. The daughter eventually sold it to a shopkeeper named Manis, but he didn't believe the story, until he opened it and weird things started happening. Later, his store was destroyed, with nothing stolen, light bulbs smashed out of nowhere, and a strange, disembodied voice screamed. When Manis gave the box to his mother, She died of a stroke 5 minutes after receiving it.
15.
Robbie Mannheim. This 13-year-old boy from Maryland became obsessed with using a Ouija board to contact his dead aunt. His behavior changed rapidly, and his home suddenly was filled with strange noises and supernatural activity. Eventually, the family requested a priest to exorcise the demons. During the exorcism, he spoke in fluent Latin, and words like hell and evil would appear on his body.
14.
The Bell Family. In 1817, the Bell family lived on a farm in Adams, Tennessee. John Bell started seeing weird things around the farm, but told his family to say nothing of it for fear of being called crazy. Their whole house soon became possessed, with daughter Betsy waking up with handprints and welts on her face.
13.
Father Marion Rochelle. After this priest performed an exorcism on a teenager, he later started receiving several disturbing text messages. He believes demons are using the cell phone to taunt him, sending him messages like, "Shut up, preacher, you can't save yourself."
12.
Arn Johnson. This murderer is one of the first to use demonic possession as an argument for innocence. His girlfriend's brother, David Glatzel, claimed to have witnessed a demon at night and had scratches and bruises on his arms. He went to Arn for help, and they approached a priest to exorcise the demons. They supposedly exorcised 40, but they turned their attention to Arn for helping David. Soon after, while having dinner with his girlfriend and their landlord, Alan Bono, Arn murdered Bono with a pocket knife. His case didn't hold up in court.
11.
Man exorcised by Pope Francis. In 2013, a 43-year-old Mexican father claimed to be possessed by many demons, having already had 30 exorcisms performed by 10 exorcists. He eventually had Pope Francis pray over him, and it was captured on video. Witnesses claimed during that time a horrible roar of a lion was heard. The man claims his whole life deteriorated when he was first possessed.
10.
Gottlieben Ditus. This 28-year-old woman was born to deeply religious parents in Muttlingen, Germany. After a priest and doctors claimed their house was haunted, Reverend Johann Christoph Blumhardt advised Gottlieben be removed from the house as she had the worst symptoms. Once she was, the haunting ceased. She only grew worse. Speaking in different languages, having violent convulsions, and yelling out blasphemies, the young girl spoke in a different voice entirely. During the exorcisms, she supposedly threw up blood, nails, and glass.
9.
Jason Dalton. This Uber driver who murdered 6 people told the police his Uber app was possessed and told him to do it. He claimed the devil sent satanic messages through the app. A satanic symbol popped up on the screen, and when he clicked it, he immediately became Satan's puppet.
8.
John Jenkin. The night before this man hacked his mother and sister to death with an axe, he said, "I am the devil. I need to confess."
7.
The Swirl Family. Also known as the Swirl Haunting, this family claims their house was haunted by a demon from 1974 to 1989. From loud noises and bad odors to more violent activities like having their dog thrown against a wall and their daughter thrown down a flight of stairs, the Smurls claim to experience all kinds of horrors that brought the attention of demonologists, priests, psychologists, and heavy media coverage.
6.
Woman seen by William Friedkin. This director of The Exorcist recently made a documentary following real-life exorcist Father Amorth as he performed an exorcism. The woman, known as Elizabeth, would shake violently as Amorth chanted Latin spells to cast out the evil spirits. She'd also scream, "Don't touch her," and "I am Satan."
5.
Annalisa Miguel. Growing up in 1960s Bavaria, this girl would occasionally go into trances, convulsions, pass out randomly, and wet her bed. She was diagnosed with epilepsy and given medicine, but it didn't seem to help her, and the symptoms only grew worse. Eventually, she would do 400 squats a day, crawl under the bed and bark like a dog, eat spiders and coal, and even bit the head off a dead bird. She believed she was possessed by 5 demons: Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Hitler, and Nero.
4.
Clara Germancell. This 16-year-old girl was said to be possessed by a demon in 1960. She admitted to making a pact with the devil and could do extraordinary things, like speak in many languages she didn't formally know, have super strength, and clairvoyance. At one time, she levitated 5 feet in the air and could easily hurl nuns across the room. She was successfully exorcised and said to be acting totally normal afterward.
3.
Pat Redding. Living in Litchfield, Connecticut, this woman started feeling a dark presence by her side and would occasionally be pushed and hit by an unseen force. Eventually, the attacks grew more violent until she'd be black and blue in places she wouldn't be able to do to herself. Found to not have any psychosis, Redding turned to exorcism.
2.
H. Holmes. Psychopath, con artist, and America's first serial killer, this man created a castle with a labyrinth of hidden chambers, rooms, and compartments to keep his victims before torturing and murdering them. He was captured and confessed to killing 27 people, but it could be upwards of 200. Many believe the only way he could have done these things was to be possessed by Satan. He even confessed, "Yes, I was born with the devil in me. I could not help the fact that I was a murderer no more than the poet could help the inspiration to song."
1.
David Berkowitz. Also known as Son of Sam, this serial killer plagued New York City's streets from 1976 to 77, killing 6 people and wounding 7 using a revolver. When police searched his apartment, they found satanic graffiti and diaries confessing to other atrocities. He pled guilty to the murders and told police his neighbor's dog was possessed by a demon and told him to do it.
Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button on the bottom right and the notification bell so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these videos here or just head to our website at list25.com.